darling ones, and welcome to another Galactic Mayan Astrology Report. This is a Dreamspell Astrology Report for the 6th of November 2020. Before we jump into the astrology report for the coming 13 days, I have an announcement. So the new 9-month cycle begins on the 18th of December 2020, and I have just birthed the new Dreamspell Astrological diary. So you get a page a day for the 9-month spin, but you also get the breakdown of each of the signs, each of the tones, loads of channeled poetry and loads of guidance to support you to consciously get the most out of the process. So have a little look in the bio, and the link for both the UK and the worldwide purchase options are in there. So, as I say, we are moving into a new Wavespell, and the energy that we are going to be journeying with now for the next 13 days is the energy of white wind. So the white signs are all about refinement. So it's really a process of like bringing things into focus, getting things clear when we're journeying with white signs. It's like it starts in a distortion, and our purpose, our task is to bring it into light. Now, white wind is all about self-expression. It's all about the throat chakra and how permitted we feel to express ourselves. So often I find that, you know, people that I've journeyed with that are white winds are often singers and musicians, because there's this beautiful ability to bring through and express vocally. And this self-expression though is not just limited to vocalizing, and essentially this process that we are moving through when we're journeying with white wind is about how safe we feel to be seen. You know, it's about being able to be authentic, you know, in the way that we relate, and it's a very significant piece of the puzzle. So, you know, with Mayan astrology, we've got these 20 different signs and these 13 different tones, so like the flavors. So each sign has got 13 steps within it, and each, you know, day has got one of the 20 signs in it. So we've really got this process of all of the different archetypes make up the totality of the human being, make up the totality of the human race, make up the totality of the human experience. So each one of us embodying one of these specific codes, one of these specific energies, doesn't mean that the rest of us don't also embody it, you know. So it's just what we've decided to show up with as our piece of the puzzle. So white wind is about all of us and the human experience of expression. And you know, we've very much been conditioned, and this is something that, you know, my work with young people and my research with young people is really about. You know, it's about the effects of the conditioning on the human being and what it creates, and how we go about this conditioning experience. And that's something for another time, really. But when it comes into self-expression, we have all had shitloads of conditioning that has told us, taught us, demonstrated that we are not permitted to express ourselves freely and honestly and authentically. Now, our honest authenticity changes moment from moment, you know, so it's not something that is this like, this is who I am, it's fixed, this is what I need to express. It's this beautiful wave and this beautiful process, but the journey that we've kind of all been through is being, you know, we receive from the outside, okay, what's safe, essentially what's permitted. And the journey with white wind is about being able to strip back that conditioning, strip back those expectations or limitations, to be able to communicate our truth. And something that I really learned within the past year of my personal process is around expression and expectation. You know, so oftentimes we express ourselves with a specific expectation of what's going to come through the expression. You know, we might have built ourselves up to finally get to a point of like, right, I need to speak my truth. But oftentimes the thing that leads us to the permission that we give ourselves to speak our truth or to show up in our authenticity is actually about this fixed expectation about how we're going to be received and what it's going to bring when we are received. But the reality is, it's simply about the expression. And to express for the sake of expression without an expectation of what comes after that. Because this is a thing that trips us up, all of us up. You know, it's the expectation of how we're going to be received. So we limit ourselves or we express ourselves, but we've always got this kind of future assessment of what will happen after, and essentially that we will be loved as a result. So it's this whole thing of, right, I'll be loved if I express myself in that way, or I'll be loved if I don't allow myself to express in that way. So really, when we're journeying with this process, it's about being able to express without expectation or fixation. The other piece of white wind that's really key is about finding ways that our energy balances with the other. So yes, we are here to express, but we are all here to express our authenticity. And it's about this process of harmonization. So when I'm in my full authenticity and when you're in your full authenticity and we come together, there is a place that we can find navigating together where we resonate at a place of harmony. You know, there's a harmony that's available to us. There's also the opposite of that, and a lot of the time this is what we're experiencing. You know, we're clashing, it feels distorted, it feels yucky, it feels but we can allow ourselves to drop, and this is where the conscious communication comes in, because we really are then given the opportunity and the space to find that little moment of harmonization, where everybody is permitted to rise, where everybody is permitted to have their space, where everybody is permitted to give or receive in ways that feels good for them. But the key to all of it is communication. And, you know, white wind is the communication aspect of humanity and finding our way to communicate with one another. Now, it's really everything that we've learned about communication and expression. You know, it's like expression's the first piece, communication's the second piece. You know, it's like the both. Expression of ourselves, but then the receiving of the other too. And again, then that comes into boundaries, as most things do. So how do we communicate when things don't feel so good? How do we communicate without making the other wrong? How do we communicate to find that place of harmony where your boundaries are not being trampled, their boundaries are not being trampled, but we're able to dance together? Now, the other thing that's really a big part of white wind is about channeling, you know, and bringing through. So again, the purification of the vessel to allow, you know, spirit to be experienced in the external world. And something that I personally have been really aware of is intentionality with communication. So I find it easy to chameleon. I find it easy to find communication that does harmonise the situation but doesn't necessarily express my truthful self. So I can slip into communicating from an unintentional space, you know, just like the mindless chatter of the chit-chatty, which has its space for beauty, but also is always creating and manifesting. Everything that we speak is a prayer, everything that we speak is a spell, everything that we speak is a manifestation. So this moment, we are in the UK going into another lockdown, and for me that feels like a really beautiful opportunity to become even more intentional with my communication. And that's really a process, you know, that aligns wonderfully with this Wavespell. Our authentic expression is key, but tidying it up afterwards. So we have the space to express our gritty, our unconscious, our manky, our painful, our victim self. But then to ensure that following that we plant our clear, conscious intention. So we do the both. We allow ourselves to go into the drama, the unconscious, because it all deserves to be expressed. But then it's like, what do we do from that space? And this also comes into conflict. So, you know, when we've got this process of coming into it's not harmonising with somebody, for us to step back from that situation and to not step into the conflict because we've got fears of conflict means that the process that our souls would like to go through isn't permitted. Whereas when we can come together, when we can allow our edgy to be on the surface, because whether we allow it out or not, it's there, it's present, and it either comes out passively or actively. But by us giving the space for that, allowing ourselves to be really honest with how we're feeling, and then doing the conscious dive, and then rerouting, reweaving, using our language, using our communication, coming back into loving space, then we go through the whole process, then we complete, then we have the permission to express the truth, but we also tidy it up afterwards. So it's really about this like ability to communicate and us coming in to a space of communication that is conscious. You know, we've always had the people that have removed themselves from society and, you know, being able to connect with spirit and then kind of come and, you know, sit at the top of the room on their cushion and everybody else gathers around them and there's no input, output. It's the teacher that speaks, that doesn't really do the human experience. But really what's being asked of us now and what is happening now is that the whole human experience, all of us, you know, we've never been this free. I shared something on Facebook about this morning. It was something that somebody else had shared. But we have never ever been this free as humans, collectively. Yes, we do still have this disparaging element. You know, there is still hierarchy in a certain sense, but as a collective, we have never ever been this free. So us as a collective now moving into this space of conscious communication where the ones that would have had the teacher status that doesn't get questioned are sat in circle, where they're receiving and they're hearing as well as sharing, is part of this new energy that we're all weaving together. You know, there are no people that are not on the path. And it's just the varying degrees of awareness. And another piece of this is that, you know, we've all got parts of us that are super conscious and parts of us that are super not conscious. You know, there's not a person that is all conscious. It doesn't exist. We're all of it. We're all of the archetypes. We're all of the human experience. And this permission to live it and then reweave it is the key. We have to live it, we have to allow it, and then we have to process it. But if we're not allowing it, if we're not living it, then how can we process it? We can't just do the override, we have to do the journey underground. So within this process of White Wind, you're really being invited, we are all really being invited to lean into the communication, lean into our self-expression, lean into the parts that feel like, I don't think I can do that. What will happen if, that limits us. Lean in and soften. Find your spaces to build that bravery, to lean in, to be seen, to express, and also give the space to receive the other within that. This giving and receiving and finding our balance within that. So have a wonderful Wavespell, and as I say, the Dreamspell Astrological diary is now available, so check it out in the links below. You can have a look at the first few pages to get a flavour for what it's all about, and it's quite nice that it is aligning with Christmas, so it's also a really beautiful gift to give to people as well. How about giving some conscious gifts, hey? Alright darlings, so much love, and as always, thank you for tuning in. Take care.